I'm Debra Atkinson, founder of Flipping 50. Remember in junior high when they used to say, nice butt? And first it was embarrassing, and then it was kind of like, ow, but if they stop saying it, that's not good either, right? And maybe for you, they've stopped saying it. I hear a lot from women that, some of our body parts are like in a race to our socks, and the butt has gone a little bit more flat. So yes, aesthetically, that may be your goal, it may be vanity. And to me, as a trainer, strength and conditioning coach, it doesn't matter what gets you motivated because you need it. Here's why. If your glutes are weak, and when we say glutes, we're talking about the gluteus maximus and the gluteus medius. You also have a gluteus minimus, but it's actually stimulated when either of these other two are. So we're covered there. But when that's weak, we sit on it all the time. We're using it, but not very effectively, right? When we are just sitting on it, we're not getting up, we're not extending, which is what the glutes are responsible for. We tend to have more risk of injury to the lower back and to the hamstrings. And let's just take the lower back for a moment. Often incorrectly we go right to, oh, I must need to strengthen my back and I need to strengthen my core. Now that may be true, but more true than ever is probably the glutes. So focus on them. If you're focusing on them, you're also probably strengthening your core, because there's core from shoulders to knees involved in any move that you do. I'm going to show you a few of my favorite glute strengthening exercises. Talk to you a little bit at the end about how many, how often, and how you want to reach muscular fatigue. All right, let's go. For the glute squeeze from your back in a bridge, what I'm going to have you do is lift up, squeeze the glutes here, and then lower down. So you lift and squeeze, but there's two separate things you want to be aware of. So we're going to lift and squeeze as one unit, but you want to be conscious of the fact that I could just lift up. I could extend without squeezing, or I can stay here and I can squeeze the glutes without lifting. You're going to make both happen. First, let's do 3 squeezes through the glutes. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Okay, now just the lift. Try to let your glutes be lazy so you can come up. Biomechanically, you can make that happen without feeling a lot of effort through the glutes. Now, I want you to mentally squeeze and lift simultaneously. Squeeze and then release. And again, squeeze and release. Good. Here's 3 and come down. And 4 and down. 6. Do you see what I did there? And then release. Good. Here's 6. Squeeze and down. You're getting to almost straight line. Knees, hips, shoulders, and release. And squeeze. And then lower. Weight on your heels here. Squeeze, release. And again, squeeze, release. Let's do 2 more. Squeeze and release. And do 1 more. And I want you to stay at the top. So as you really press through your heels here and you're squeezing, you should definitely notice there's fatigue in exactly that spot that I want you to feel it in. And then release. Nice job. 3 sets, 10 to 12. All right, we're gonna do a set of side clams. So ideally your heels, your glutes, and your shoulders are all against the back of the mat. You could also do this against a wall if you want to keep yourself honest. There won't be any rolling back that way, and you'll be sure your top hip is on top of the bottom. So if you need it, the wall is there, go ahead and use it. Feet stay close together. I'm going to open as high as you can without rolling back in order to get that last couple of inches. So we're going to go 12. Here we go. 1, and then release. And 2. Take your time on that, and then down. So at the top, we're pausing just a little bit and working on that. Good, and up, and 4, and squeeze. Good, and 5. And these muscles, these glute medial muscles are lazy. They need a little bit of wake-up call. And you may not feel like this ever reaches fatigue, but you may notice tomorrow that you've done something that you hadn't done in a little while. And you'll notice it when you're walking up and down stairs. And release. 2 more. Up. Keep that open and coming, and down, and push up and then release. And we'll go to the other side. Help yourself by pushing up, turn it around. And again, if you align yourself with your mat, head and shoulders are on it, hips are on it, and your heels are on it, you have about a 60-degree angle at your knees. You're not coming up here, but about 60 degrees. And here we go, up and then down. And you may notice you have greater range of motion, or it's easier on one side than the other. Again, that's normal. We're not symmetrical, exactly the same on both sides. So you're gonna notice that there's a slight difference, and my hope for you is that you don't notice a dramatic difference in down. And lift, and down, and up, and come down. You're gonna take 5 more, open that, and down, and 4, and down, 3, good, and 2, still that pause at the top, and 1 more time, and hold it up there, give it a good opening, good, and then relax. Nice job. This straight leg lift, we refer to this one as clams as well. We're gonna change the hinge at our hips, so rather than be aligned with the mat, you wanna pitch your hips slightly forward, just a couple of inches with your feet, and then we're gonna turn the toes slightly downward. So just a little pigeon toed here, and we're gonna raise up. And this is not about how high can you raise it. So we just wanna keep the lift. We're gonna roll forward a little, so we have to use that hand, so we're staying stacked up. So this is 3, and then come down, and 4, and that pause at the top is important. So you really own it. We're not swinging the leg up and down. You're gonna raise and down. Something that can also be helpful for this one is if you do this against a wall and you drag your heel up the wall and down the wall, keeping your heel on the wall can help keep you honest. You can add just a little pressure against the wall, so you've really activated the glute a bit more than when you're doing this in air or in the middle of the room. 1 more time here on this side, and then we'll switch and release. Now, both my legs slightly bent, very slightly. Bottom one a little bit more for leverage, stability. Top one slightly at the knee, but not a lot. Coming to the other side, similarly, same setup. And again, I could be against a wall. So be thinking, if you were against the wall, both shoulders, both hips, what would that look like? And then if I asked you, drag your heel up the wall, ideally in socks, right? 1 and 2 and 3. Good. 4, 5, 6. Good. 7. Sometimes it's the easiest exercises. And 8 and 9 and 10, and then release. Nice job. 3 sets, 10 to 12. For glute hyper, what we're really shortening is hyperextension. We're gonna go a little bit higher, so if you have trouble with your lower back, you wanna observe this one first. You may decide, I'm out. This one isn't appropriate for me. On the ball, you're gonna get greater extension, so there's a little bit more risk here. So if you're using a ball as opposed to a counter at home, you can also use a bench if you're either at home in your home gym and have one, or you're at the gym. And often at a gym, if you're doing these there is what's called a hyper machine, where you'll allow your legs to come down, kind of your torso is on a tabletop, and you're simply extending your legs to 90 degrees. You don't have to go above it. But here's the option if you want to do this with your ball. We're going to start with the ball at my hip. So we allow the upper body to come down. You can either come to your forearms, you can come with your elbows down, but you want to find that ball is kind of at your apex. So right here at your midsection, you want to start with your feet here together at the bottom, and then come wide as you come up. So let me say that again. Feet are together, down, and then they're wide as you come up, 2. So notice what's happening. So I'm down, I have flexion at my hips, forward, right? And I'm coming up and extending. Now I'm straight, and I'm going a little bit higher than that. So you may want to find a place. Where is it possible for you? You can feel the glute contraction, but you're not feeling any tension in your back, to know what works for you. The biggest error that you would make here, the most common one, is just going way too fast. So slow and controlled means I am working the glutes. Fast means I'm just tossing it back and forth and kind of tossing it around my lower back, which we don't want. Pull up, and then down. We're gonna do 2 more. And 1 more time. So again, coming from here, you would do 10 to 12, 3 different sets. Okay, so here's a recap. I want to make sure that you got the point that if you have weak glutes, you have a tendency, doesn't mean you have to, and hopefully doesn't mean you will, and if you've had it before, it doesn't mean you'll get it again, but you have a stronger tendency, stronger risk of lower back injuries. So strengthen those glutes. Now you've got a little bit more motivation. The exercises I've shown you, and yes, major muscle group exercises like squats and lunges can be effective, but if you've got what I call lazy glutes, they have gluteal amnesia. Just doing those exercises may not engage your glutes. It takes some of the things that I've shown you so you can wake them up. Doing enough repetitions so that you can do 15 on one side, 15 on another side. Come back and do up to 3 or 4 sets as you build up over time. Start with 1 set. The next couple of days, see how you feel. If you can handle that easily, go on to 2 sets. Several days later or the next week, go on to 3 sets, and then get to 4 sets. And I know that seems like a lot, but we're talking back and forth. You can do this while you're watching television. Does anybody watch television anymore? But there's got to be a time when you actually can rest. If you've got pets and you're down on the floor, they're gonna love it. So make sure you're strengthening your glutes to decrease your risk of lower back injuries and of hamstring pulls, because the muscles that are strong and supposed to do work should be. Otherwise, you're going to beg, borrow, and steal from others. If this was helpful, please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe.